What if I told you that moving to the West Valley could potentially save you over $100,000 compared to other parts of Phoenix? That's not clickbait. That's what the reality of many buyers are discovering right now. And honestly, some relocation buyers don't even realize this until it's too late because they're starting their searches in places like Scottsdale or Chandler, and then they suddenly realize that their budget isn't stretching nearly as far as they expected. And meanwhile, buyers looking west are often getting more square footage, newer homes, larger lots, and lower monthly payments for significantly less money. What is going on, everybody? I'm Shondalyn Anderson, a realtor here in the West Valley of Phoenix. And if you're thinking about moving to Arizona, this channel is designed to help you make a smarter relocation decision before you buy. Because the Phoenix metro area is changing fast, and the affordability conversation is becoming one of the biggest factors for buyers, especially first time buyers, and especially military families, and especially relocating families. Now, before we talk about why the West Valley is becoming such an attractive option, we need to understand how we got here. Because there's a reason so many buyers automatically start their searches in places like Scottsdale and Chandler and Gilbert and even Tempe. For years, these cities were considered the center of growth in the Phoenix metro area. They had large employers that had moved in, and technology companies that had expanded, and retail development, new restaurants that seemed to be opening just about every week. School districts gained strong reputations in these areas, and naturally, the demand followed. When demand increases faster than the supply, prices rise. And that's exactly what happened. Over the last decade, many East Valley communities experienced tremendous appreciation. People from California and Washington, Illinois and Colorado, and other high cost states arrived in huge numbers, and many were selling homes in markets where prices had skyrocketed. They arrived in Arizona with significant equity and purchasing power. Suddenly, homes that once seemed inexpensive or that seemed expensive looked affordable compared to where they were coming from. And that pushed the competition higher. Multiple offers became common, prices climbed rapidly, and builders struggled to keep up with the demand. And then, during the pandemic housing boom, things accelerated even further. Buyers were waiving contingencies and paying over asking price and making decisions within hours. And some homes received dozens of offers. And while the market has normalized from those extreme conditions, one thing has still remained. The price the price floor is higher. It's definitely much higher than it was. Today, many East Valley communities still offer incredible lifestyles. They're beautiful places to live, but many buyers are discovering that they now have to pay a significant premium to access those areas. Now, at that premium is co- at that premium, it's causing some people to ask a really important question. Am I getting enough additional value to justify spending another $100,000 or $200,000 or even more? For some buyers, the answer is yes, but for many others, the answer is becoming no, and that's where the West Valley enters the conversation. Let's look at what buyers are actually getting for their money. Because when people compare neighborhoods, they often focus entirely on price. But price only tells you part of the story. Value is what really matters. Imagine you're shopping with a budget of around $500,000. In some East Valley locations, that budget might require compromises. You might be looking at an older home or a smaller lot, fewer upgrades, a longer list of future projects, or perhaps a neighborhood that doesn't offer the amenities that you were hoping for. Now, if you take that same budget and you start exploring parts of the West Valley, suddenly your options begin to change. You may find newer construction, more open floor plans, larger lots, three-car garages, community pools, walking trails and parks and mountain views, and in some cases, significantly more square footage. Now, does bigger automatically mean better? Absolutely not. But having choices matters. And that's something that many buyers appreciate once they start touring homes. I've worked with buyers who initially had their heart set on one part of the valley. And then we spent a day touring communities throughout the West Valley. And by the end of the day, many of them were surprised, not because the homes were necessarily cheaper, but because they felt like they were getting more overall value, more functionality, more space, more flexibility, and often a better long-term fit for the way that they actually live. Because let's be honest, most people aren't buying a home for today. They're buying a home for the next 5, 10, or 15 years. They're thinking about children and grandchildren and home offices, retirement, visiting families, storage, hobbies, entertaining, future lifestyle changes. And when you start looking through that lens, square footage and community design begin to matter a lot more. Another thing that many buyers don't realize is how dramatically the West Valley has evolved. The old perception was that everything happened on the east side. That may have been true years ago, but today that is not the case. The West Valley has become a destination in its own right. Major shopping districts, entertainment venues, spring training facilities, and restaurants and healthcare campuses and corporate investment, new infrastructure projects. All of these things are changing how buyers view the area. And as more people discover what's available, many are beginning to ask themselves a simple question: why pay significantly more somewhere else if I can get everything I need right here? That's the question more buyers are asking every year. Now, at its biggest, and it's one of the biggest reasons that the West Valley continues to attract families and retirees and military families and people relocating from across the country. Now, something we really need to think about is the monthly payment, because even a small difference in the purchase price can create a huge monthly difference. And with higher interest rates and insurance costs and HOA fees and utilities and property taxes, buyers need breathing room. The goal isn't to qualify for the house. The goal is to comfortably live in the house. One thing that I see a lot of buyers will emotionally fall in love with areas they technically can't afford, but probably shouldn't stretch for either. And that financial pressure becomes stressful fast, especially after relocation. Meanwhile, many West Valley buyers are finding themselves in a position where they can still travel, save money, enjoy restaurants, furnish their home, and actually enjoy life instead of feeling financially squeezed every month. The buyers benefiting the most right now tend to be first-time home buyers, military families, remote workers, relocating families, and buyers thinking long-term, especially buyers prioritizing value over prestige. Also, areas that buyers are paying close attention to include Buckeye and Verrado, Surprise, Peoria, Glendale, and parts of Goodyear, because those areas continue to see growth, infrastructure expansion, and new development. Now, the goal isn't just buying a house. The goal is buying a house while still being able to enjoy your life. And for many buyers, the West Valley is creating that opportunity. If you want my free location guide, DM me West Valley and I'll send you affordability comparisons, hidden costs, neighborhood breakdowns, community insights, commute insight, and the areas I'd personally recommend based on your budget. Chandler, your neighborhood realtor. Talk to you later.